taking in. So I don't know how much of that anybody ever gets to see. But it is setting up our meeting for live. So now
you better back on.
Somebody just, it's probably just, yeah. Okay, now we are streaming. Yeah. So we have a disclaimer. Let's start with that. So I can't see it. So if anybody posts in the comments, it might take me a minute. You want to do the disclaimer?
I get a notification on my phone that Rachel Evers is live.
Oh, it's encouraging you to
Live.
watch. Nice.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Episode 17. Is that real?
It is. We're accurate. Yes. And we didn't count like the first 4 or 5. So we're into the early 20s.
Okay.
We're maturing into our 20s. We're becoming adults.
Hi. Welcome. I'm not a lawyer or a financial advisor, and she's not a lawyer or a financial advisor. We both are licensed, and we both think we know most of the answers. But more importantly, we will find the answer if we don't know it.
Yeah. And also,
this stuff is our opinion.
Yes, I was just going to say we have opinions, we have strong opinions, we have educated opinions, and one of the coolest things is we're both willing to revise our opinions with new information. But what we're up to is sharing what we think we know so that we can educate you to do better at whatever it is you're doing with real estate. But like Cassandra said, I'm not a financial advisor, so nothing I say can be construed as financial advice, and I'm not an attorney, so nothing that I say can be construed as legal advice. It's just my opinion. Like, it's a huge cover your ass statement.
But
results may vary
based on years of experience.
Yes.
To be fair.
Absolutely. Yes. Yep. This is all just cover your ass shit. You can't sue me because something I said you took action on. Like, guess what? You have to be a responsible adult who takes responsibility for your own decisions. Anyway.
You take all the fun out of it.
I know. So we have some meaty topics to discuss today. I have a rabble-rousing, pot-stirring opinion that I want to throw out there.
I cannot wait to try to change your opinion on that.
I know. And listen, to be clear, like if you've read the title, you know what I'm going to talk about. I don't believe that buying a home is the right American dream for everybody. And I think that very often the mindset of people buying homes is like, I have to buy a house. And we get fed this narrative of you're paying somebody's mortgage, it might as well be your own. The pieces that don't get calculated in that equation are the other costs of owning a home. So yeah, I'm like, on my house, I want to own a home. So I make a mortgage payment, but guess what? I also had to put a fucking roof on my house. My furnace is near the end of its life. I have 2 water heaters that should have croaked years ago. The costs of those things, like maintenance and upkeep and repair, if I were renting, yeah, my rent might be more than my purchase. And I say purchase very loosely because will I ever actually own this home outright? Probably not. I mean, I don't know. There are so many. I'm all over the place here. And Cassandra, the look on your face right now is like,
oh God. So, but when you decide to leave, is there a chance that you can get some of that investment back?
The answer is it depends. Of course, there's a chance depending on when I leave. But let's say I decide to leave now. If I were in a rental, I could literally just pack up my shit and go. I might have to pay a penalty for breaking my lease, but right now, if I want to leave my house, I have to put it on the market and sell it. And that is, it's an undertaking.
If you have an awesome agent like you, it shouldn't be that fucking hard.
If I had, hold on.
At recouping the cost you paid for your roof.
The answer is, I don't know, because it's more than the roof, right? Because I had to pay for think about all of the repairs. Think about the true cost of home ownership.
You know what your house is worth.
And an awesome agent is part of the equation for getting top dollar, but the other part of the equation is the market that I'm selling in. So right now, today, fuck yes, I could get an ass ton of money for my house. Like, I've seriously considered selling my house just to cash out and get the money and going to rent somewhere until the market like normalizes, because this is not a normal market that we're in.
How much is the rental?
That's just it.
How easy is it to find a rental?
And I'm not saying it's easy. honestly, for the price range that I could rent in, a lot easier than in my mortgage price range. I mean, listen, I don't have a horse in this race. I'm not taking this as my position. I'm a fucking real estate agent. So I do believe in home ownership, like as a box to check or a thing to do with your life. Generally, over time, I think it's a smart position to be in from a financial standpoint. But my point is, you have to do the whole equation. You can't just look at the cost of your rent and the cost of the mortgage and say, well, this is a better deal, because the cost of the mortgage doesn't include the cost of replacing the fucking furnace, or if my basement floods, and the claim on my fucking homeowner's insurance. Like, all of these other costs associated with home ownership never get brought up in the little, meme like presentation of, well, look, you're paying a mortgage, you might as well pay your own. Well, that's true, except to make an educated decision, because owning a home is not for everybody.
So
I
I
just
get
don't believe
that.
that.
That's what the classes that are offered by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac help you do. If anybody wants to go down and do the long math, there are free classes that you can take, which helps with these equations. And I agree with you. There are some markets where it is absolutely cheaper to rent and makes more sense. There are some age groups,
and take them.
and I mean that very loosely.
Yeah.
Where if you're not going to be there for more than a year or two, you should probably rent.
Well, so
probably, given the out-of-pocket costs.
Well, and again, it all's contextual, because if I knew, hindsight being 2020, 2 years ago in this market, I would have bought, because I would have been able to sell, absorb the cost of selling, and make a profit, presuming nothing went wrong with the house. But I feel like there is this belief that owning a home is 100% always better than renting one. And that's kind of like saying everybody should own a car. Well, if you live in fucking New York City, you don't need a car.
It's 100%. I don't think it's 100% that people are like,
no,
that's better than. There's obviously specific situations.
But you know what happens is nobody's having that conversation. So I'm bringing it to the table so that we can have it, because I think it's important that people consider in addition to the financial burden of homeownership, because if reframed, it's a financial burden that you're taking on for 30 years. You're also tied to that location, depending on, your overall mobility and financial picture, because maybe you're buying a house and you can afford to have 7 houses all around the country. But for most Americans, you have a house and that's where you live. And if you want to leave, you have to off that fucking thing. And that can be a time-consuming process. And it's expensive to do. So I just, I want to talk about the ugly, dirty things that people gloss over or forget to mention when they're trying to convince you to buy a house. Anyway.
What's the number one reason people tell you they're going to buy a house? Do you ask?
No, I don't. I do ask people what their plan is for the house. And I do make a point when people are buying a home and when they're selling. So when my clients reach out to me, I do try and make a case for them to wrap their head around what their plan is for this property. And my sellers, I try and talk them out of selling their house, just to make sure they've done the full mental exercise and they know they have other options. Because if you call me to sell your house, I'm going to say, well, have you thought about putting a tenant in there? Like, you could make that an income property. Let's flesh that out. Just to make sure, like, to do my own due diligence.
Okay. I just wondered if you asked.
So kind of. And there are other facets to any conversation about rental and real estate, or tenancy, or owning a house versus not owning a house. Because one of the things I also wanted to talk about is rental scams, because people who are in the rental market, it's astonishing to me how blatant and what's the word that means a lot? Like, there are a lot of rental scams out there where you can go on Craigslist. They seem to all be on Craigslist. Mm-hmm. I put a house on the market. This hasn't happened. Actually, this did happen to me once with one listing, but in certain markets and in some of my national realtor groups, agents will talk about how they got a call from somebody asking about the house that they have listed for sale that is also for rent. And the scam appears to go like this. If I put a house on the market, some scammer will pull the data from any number of the third-party websites like a Zillow or a Trulia or Realtor.com or whatever. You go online, you download the pictures, and they will post my house that I have listed for sale for rent, and you will pay, they'll have you PayPal them or wire them or give them some kind of security deposit. They tell you you can go to the house, and you go move in and find out that the person you gave those thousands of dollars to doesn't even own the property. Have you heard of these?
Oh, yeah. Those have been around for a couple of years. Yeah.
Well, but your clients who are falling for them haven't heard of them. You and I know it's a scam because we're in the industry. What does the scam look like to you? Because I bet you there are other versions of it.
So it's not just Craigslist. So now it's in the Facebook pages. So we do see it a lot in the Facebook pages. It's an actual listing, and they pull the photo, they use the real address, they pull the description, except for sale, it's for rent. So
usually
they get
for
flagged as spam by the moderator.
And usually it's for a suspiciously low amount of money. Like that whole, like if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah.
If that flag is going off, if you're like, well, why is this 2,000 square foot beautiful home only $825 a month?
It's for that, and it's for it seems it's not like on $400,000 homes or $300,000 homes. It's basically on entry level, what people would normally expect to find as a rental. So with that being said, knowing there are scams on two of the largest venues, how do you know how to spot one or how to avoid or find a rental where it's not fucking garbage? Obviously, you should never pay anybody money before you're in the property. I mean, shit, all it takes is driving by the house you want to rent and seeing a fucking for sale sign where it should be a gigantic, and calling the number on the sign to be a huge
and so that was one piece.
But
and I mean, even just little things, pop that address into a Google search and see if it also comes up for sale. Do you know what I mean? Just like look somewhere other than the listing that has it for rent.
But they go for the most desperate people. I mean that in I don't mean that in a bad way, but people
that's
who
what,
like need to move and have $500 for
zero
security deposit
and
they're
zero
like,
options.
Awesome, I can do $500 and secure this 3,000 square foot house out in the country with a pole barn. Oh my God, all my dreams are coming true.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah. Well, and it's rough, and you're exactly right. It's predatory and goes after the people in a more desperate situation where they need a place to live and they need it now, and they're desperate and like finding nothing, and then you find this like unicorn miracle that's solving your problem, and that's where the scammers will get you. And not to be all fear-mongery, but because houses do go for rent, but it's a bummer.
Where would I find the houses for rent?
Okay,
I'm not looking on Facebook in those groups, the housing groups, and I'm not looking on Craigslist.
Yes.
Where am I going?
So another thing I wanted to talk about is right? So realtors do deal with rentals. It's a totally different animal than dealing directly with a homeowner, which can be good and bad. And what do I want to say? It's almost identical to dealing with a realtor when buying a house, right? Like you can call me and I can find what's for rent in my market, but I'm only going to be able to show you what is for rent listed in the MLS, which typically excludes. It's not. And it's a very specific set of owners who are landlords, usually not so in our market, we have, I forgot what they're called. There are a handful of property management companies that homeowners will call and say, hey, can you just be in charge of finding tenants for my property? Those organizations operate very similar to a leasing office at an apartment complex. You deal directly with them.
Yeah, we have some of those here. I think every town has something similar.
Yep, but a lot of people looking for a place to rent don't know that they're out there. I think Richter and Associates is located in downtown Howell, and I think they do this. So you would deal directly with them.
This is their moment to shine, isn't it? They're getting paid to rent them. I would imagine they're short on rentals, but shouldn't they be advertising, or shouldn't they be running the housing groups? They should be running the Facebook pages.
Well, and that, okay, so that's Rabbit Trail. They may have their own
I
Facebook
know.
pages that I'm not aware of. But what they do is handle the vetting process for tenants, and then they serve as a go-between for, you would think I'm getting a commission for them, but they serve as a go-between so that, like Rachel, if I did, let's say I moved to, let's say Mark and I moved to Florida so we can live next to Linda, because I know she's watching, so I'm saying that for her. Um, and so we would call a company like Richter and Associates to place a tenant. They would do the vetting process. We're in Florida. The water, one of my old water heaters croaks. They would take care of it. So I've got some feet on the ground, somebody else to handle evictions and like the dirty, messy shit that comes with being a landlord. If I only have one property, I probably don't have much infrastructure to deal with those things. But not every homeowner wants to pay a company like that. So another alternative is to handle that stuff yourself. Or let's say you just want a tenant for a year while you're traveling the globe. This is such a rabbit trail. My point is a realtor can help you access a segment of the rental market that you might not otherwise see. Our rentals typically don't show up in an apartments.com kind of listing area. We're not an apartment. Or rent.com, or where, I don't even know where people look for rentals really, other than the ones that I see on the MLS. But
Okay,
I'm
so
like words. Here's
if
words.
it's, so
Unscramble
I
that.
guess the rental stuff, so I'm just gonna like, so the rental stuff,
Yeah.
sometimes, I'm just gonna summarize, sometimes it's better to rent than to buy, but if you're going to rent, you should probably fucking make sure it's legitimate and maybe drive by the house before you give anybody any money. And if there's
Yes.
a sign in the front of the house, call it and
Yep.
Google search the address, right?
Yep.
Just like
Yes.
an ounce of prevention. Okay.
Yeah, can save you some fuckery. And then, I mean, I guess I might as well get all three of my points out of the way at the beginning, so then we can move over to your bit. And this is just an annoying pot stirring opinion that I have, but I do
Oh, I
believe
can't wait.
that I know. Well, I think that yes, owning a house can be a good investment of money and resources and time. I also think that owning homes is a long-term rental scheme because most people don't ever own their homes. And Tom, you know you're
I
on this.
disagree with your verbiage.
I know, and it's not clean and clear verbiage. It is. This is an opinion that I kind of formulated while I was selling foreclosures because so many people lost their houses to foreclosure when the market took a huge shit. And my buyers were like, oh, well, I'll give them, let's say it was a $200,000 house, the buyer would want to offer 125 pennies on the fucking dollar. And
I'm
I was
trying to
like,
figure it out. Thank you.
oh my God, I'm muting. I got to mute that. There's some kickback. Okay. Anyway, so I'm losing my train of thought. Buyers, oh, they would want a lowball and they'd be like, well, the bank's losing money on this house. And I'm like, listen, you got to remember how big the bank actually is. And they own thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of houses across the country. And they now have an entire department dedicated to dealing with these fucking houses. And they're getting a write-off on the loss. They're not worried about this one fucking house that they're so scared of having to pay the taxes for that they're going to give it to you for pennies on the dollar anymore. For a minute at the beginning, they were overwhelmed with the volume and they didn't have the departments built out to deal with them. But if you're the bank and you have thousands and thousands and thousands of notes and everybody defaults, guess what? You get the houses back, you sell them again. You get the houses back and you sell them again. And you get the houses back and you sell them again. And the person never pays it off. They sell it to somebody else. And guess what? You're selling that loan too. So you sell the new loan to the person buying the house that just got sold. And this guy that just sold his house is going to go buy another house. And guess what? You're writing that loan. It's from a high level view, it's just a long-term rental scheme anyway, with a small opportunity to maybe make a couple bucks while you own the property.
I understand the argument. I disagree because you are literally referring to fucking a giant housing crash in 2006
and
to 2008.
so I'm only,
However,
no,
let me
I'm
finish.
only
You just let me
referring
finish.
to it as a reference point to make a point. I'm not saying it'll happen again. Go
Okay,
ahead.
but as we spoke a couple segments ago, or episode 15 or 14, before the foreclosure is freaking taped to your door,
Yep.
those people who own the home absolutely can list the house and sell it,
Totally.
right?
And they
get out
should.
while the getting's good before they literally go, oh, bank, here, I give up, right?
Mhm. They can.
I'm gonna squat in the house until they fucking literally pull my shit out of it.
Right.
Like,
Yep.
pay it. Like, when you get a house, you agree to pay, just like freaking tenants are evicted if they
Yep.
don't pay. Although that
Yes.
moratorium is being lifted, and it's whatever. That's a totally different conversation.
That is.
But it's the
And
same.
that's
You pay, you stay, you don't, you go. And that's the same for a car that they'll repossess. A
Yeah.
credit card, if you stop paying it, they'll shut down your line of credit. I mean,
Yep.
pay your bills. Ugh.
Yep. Pay. All
I
I'm
don't think it's a
listen,
scheme.
and I'm not making. I'm not trying to live and die by
Buying a
this.
car is a rental scheme too.
No, hear me out, because I'm not positioning that this is the truth and that it's all just a scam and everybody's out to get you and you don't really own your home and you should never try and buy one. All I'm saying is it's important to do the mental exercise of understanding the whole picture, because people get really fucking fucked up trying to buy a house because they feel like they have to. And then you've got this 30-year mortgage that you have to pay for. You don't really own the house until it's paid for. So if you take a mental piece,
that if you did you know that if you don't do, I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've talked about this before. The 30-year mortgage is relatively new. It didn't used to be that way.
Yes.
It has all but assured. So I'm going to actually give you a tiny bit of string to not hang yourself with, but to finish your argument, which is the 30-year mortgage was created by the bank so people have a low payment, and guess who's less likely to pay it off? The banks will make more in interest over 30 years, right? They require less down. They make more money on it. So it used to be you bring 20% and you get a 10 or 15-year mortgage, and you actually did own your home. You had a note burning party and you celebrated and shit.
Put that eagle on the front, right?
Well, I'm on a rabbit trail. Yes, put the eagle on the front and paint the front door red or whatever. But I'll continue down your argument, which is it was created by the financial institutions because the rate of inflation has gone up so much and wages have not gone up.
Yes.
But the monthly payment has to stay down here. So they said, well, fuck, nobody can do a 15-year. We better do 30 so they have that low payment. We'll still keep the asset. We don't have to pay people more.
You're speaking my language. Instead of raising the income level, they just give you more time.
Oh, yes.
Dude.
We'll just make it longer time, and we still have a lien on the property.
And we still have a lien on the property. That's it.
And we still have a lien on the property.
Yep.
So if you actually want a chance at owning your home, try to go back to 1950s when America was great.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put my tongue in my cheek there.
Yeah, no, we're not allowed to do that. Scratch that.
Do your 20% down and take a 15-year mortgage. The payment's not going to be double, but you'll actually own it.
Let's do some mental exercise. So let's imagine that everybody.
Wait, does Tom have anything to say? I know he's on mute, but
no,
Tom,
I don't think Tom. He does.
He does.
All right.
He said yes.
Ask to unmute. Tom, I think you have to do something on your end to unmute yourself.
Boy, you guys are conniving little bitches. That's all.
By choice. By choice.
Well, I tell you, my example is that I worked all my life and I paid off my house. Mm-hmm. Now I don't have a mortgage at all. It's, and you know what? That payment book does not come to my house.
Nice.
And that enabled me to do other things, investment property, rental income properties that I can keep, isolated, and Kim and I just bought our second one,
Awesome.
So second or third, I can't keep track of it anymore. We just, but the payments pay themselves, and it goes, it goes up in value, and hopefully, and but it takes a lot of sweat equity to turn it though,
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, it's a great tax write-off too.
Well, I don't know about that, but
It is.
well, anyway,
think
that's
some
our
scheduling.
plan. I don't know. I got late in the conversation about you guys saying don't pay, not, all this other stuff. And so anyway,
Yeah, it's not a bad gig if you can make it work, and neither is being a multimillionaire if you can make it work. I'm just saying most people don't pay off their house. Most average Americans don't pay off their house.
I was lucky that I could do it.
I think it's a mindset, like deciding to stay in the house and pay it off and paying extra towards principal. It all helps. Did you start with a 30-year mortgage, Tom, or no?
Actually, first house I bought was in the 80s. I had to borrow $5,000 from my dad to buy a $45,000 house over by Winans Lake, and I equity that out, sold it for $120, and then built a house down the street, and then myself, and then went from there to the house we live in now. And the bank wouldn't give us any money because it had bad windows and things like that. So I had to cough up all my savings to do it and to buy it. But for 6 years now, I've been, almost done, so I got another 6 months and I'll have my house all done, and I'll take that value from what we bought it for, almost double it. So,
awesome.
So there's a line of credit waiting to happen if I want to use it. But
yeah.
Well, that's just me. I was just fortunate. I keep my nose clean and don't drink anymore. You ladies that drink all the time, there goes your payments.
What? We just travel all the time. We don't drink all the time.
Make your mortgage payment, then buy a drink.
Yeah, okay.
Put in that order.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to see you, Rachel, again. I haven't seen you in a long time. I don't get to write things on your door of your car.
I know. I missed it. One of my favorite moments in my life, just so you know.
Yeah, okay.
I'm serious, man.
But she had a picture of her face on her car on a little sticker, and I put a mustache on it.
I made the mistake of parking across the street from Tom's office one day.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, it took me about a nanosecond to figure out who fucking did that. I was like, oh, fucking Tom.
Yeah, there he is.
I mean, it all goes back to the chicken wing, if we got to be honest.
Oh, yeah. It really pissed. Gonna need you to stop and next year I'm president of the Rotary, so I want you to stop and say hello to us, Rachel, again.
Gladly. I miss everybody. I will. For sure.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Awesome.
All right, what are you talking about next?
Well, we're still talking about rental schemes, and then actually, no, let's wrap that up because Cassandra has an update on the refinance penalty. Cassandra?
Oh, it has been suspended due to severe pressure and outrage from everybody in our profession. That money grab, that 50 basis points adjustment, that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, put up on a Wednesday at 8 p.m. and gave nobody any notice and said, effective immediately, you pay us this penalty for all refinances. So that got suspended. It got pushed back to October. So I would tell people, if you're in the middle of refinance and you locked your interest rate within the last 10 days or so, ask your lender if they are removing that 50 basis point adjuster. The vast majority of them are.
Okay.
You can't relock your rate, but you should be able to see a credit for that. What I do as a broker, I guess maybe some lenders are just keeping the money. I don't know.
Well, so I was going to say, is there any possibility that somebody paid that fee and closed already?
Oh, yeah.
So can they unring that bell? No. So you just got
in the right of rescission period, because refinances have a 3-day right of rescission, meaning you close
after close.
Does not fund for 3 days, and that 3 days is essentially a lemon law. If you are feeling maybe I shouldn't have done that, like say you closed freaking last Friday and you paid that fee, right? And you can ask your loan officer. You are, what's today, Thursday?
Not last Friday, but Monday.
Monday. So your loan hasn't funded, you're still in rescission, you can go and say, I'm gonna undo this and just start the refinance again. with
Cassandra,
somebody else. That's
what
fine.
is
The loan won't fund.
what is that fee called? The line item for the name of that fee? I'm gonna go
Fannie
choke my
Mae.
dog. Can you hear the barking?
Yeah.
All right, hold on. I just gotta handle this. Hold on. Keep talking.
Okay, so
Hey,
the name of, all right,
You gotta get-
awesome. The name of the fee is the adverse market fee. So if you just refinanced within the last week, call your loan officer and ask them if you paid the adverse market fee because it's since been rescinded. You could either cancel the refinance, but if you're in the middle of refinancing and you haven't signed yet, just ask if you're getting that credited back to you, if you're getting a rate adjustment for it, because the vast majority of lenders are doing that. Let's see, what else was I going to talk about? I'll wait for Rachel because some of the stuff was Realtor forms that can be easily done in the initial purchase agreement. But hey,
sorry about that.
that's okay. Did you shove a sock in her mouth? Because
No, I would like to just muzzle her, but she's protecting us from the meter reader.
oh, fair enough.
Okay, so what did I miss? What's it called on the line item? I don't want to
Nothing.
repeat it,
It's
but
called,
okay.
I already went over it. It's called
Thank
the
you.
adverse market fee. I told people to call and ask about it if they just refinanced. So I was also going to say, and I'll keep it short. We're probably almost out of time, but
Oh, we got bags of time. It's 11:02.
for realtors.
Yes.
For realtors. So
Okay.
as a loan officer,
This is super important,
I'm asking,
people.
I'm calling on all realtors. So first and foremost, if you are doing an escalation clause and you put in an offer price of hypothetically $125,000 with an escalation up to $130,000, and you send your lender a fully executed purchase contract, please do everybody a favor, write an addendum for the final agreed upon price.
Or
Because
rewrite the contract.
verbiage, or you can rewrite the entire contract. Don't give a shit. Either works. An addendum saying this is what we agreed on. We don't know if you landed at 125, 128, 130. We have no idea. And it's fine that I ask, or you can email me, but you know where it turns into a pile of shit?
Mhm.
When I have to send the purchase agreement to the appraiser, who, even if I type in, say it went for 130, I type in 130, he sees 125 written in the purchase contract, misses the tiny verbiage about that escalation clause.
And just
guess
so
what
you
your
guys,
appraisal's going to come back at? Just guess.
125.
125?
So get
Yeah.
this, you guys.
And then you're going to
This-
be like, but it's for 130. And I go, it's happened multiple times, not just to me.
and
An
this is,
addendum.
she's referring to a contract that I wrote. So,
No.
I mean, you
I'm
are.
referring to multiple contracts with escalation clauses.
So,
I just
and
started asking for the
so-
addendum at this
and
point.
what's really fucked up is the only time that scenario happens, and let's dial it back. An escalation clause is where you say, hey, I'll give you X dollars for your house and I'll beat any competing offer by this other amount up to my
Up
cap.
to.
So fill in your blanks, right? A good agent and a good lender can help you do that. And I call that losing on your own terms, which is the only way to operate in this market. But that's a topic for another
Solid.
day. So you do, yeah, I'm a huge fan because if you're going to lose, I'm going to lose where I'm not willing to go any further. But so while other rabbit trail, writing an escalation clause, in my experience, like I don't think I've ever had a client cap out on their escalation clause. So they're a really valuable tool. But what just happened with the contract we wrote, or I wrote, we won the bid. The other agent had her client sign it, but didn't modify. And it was for the offer amount. Like all of there are other terms that you really need to be compelling in order to win a multiple offer scenario. So all of those
Don't
pieces are
tip your
important.
hand. That's why
Yeah.
you're so amazing and
Yep,
you get
no,
offers accepted.
And all I'm saying is yes, and fucking in this market, you need an agent who knows how to write an offer that gets accepted. But you got all these pieces in place, and this one is a variable. And when the seller signs the agreement as written, if there's an escalation clause on there, nobody knows where the purchase price landed because all it
Nope.
says is we're going to outbid any competing offer.
Yeah.
So
And
as
I
a
don't know
listing,
if there was a competing offer or not.
so
I
here's
have no
the
way of knowing.
here's the takeaway, I guess, for a listing agent. If you are on the receiving end of one of my awesome offers, ha ha ha, or an offer with an escalation clause, when you get to the point of acceptance, modify and define the final purchase price. Like you can totally do that in the contract, or you can draft an addendum, make it part and parcel of the offer as you're accepting it, and then you send it back to the other side for ratification.
Yeah. Something, if I see an escalation clause, I've been burned on a few appraisals where the purchase price was entered correct, but I can't control the appraiser. No lender can control the appraiser.
Dude.
Even if I data enter the sales price is 130 and the appraiser just looks and sees that it's 125.
They're scanning and looking for that number.
They will. I've had an appraiser type in the report, say the purchase price is 125. I've literally placed the order and I have to tell them what the purchase price is. It's like they didn't look at my order and they just
only
looked at
looked
the contract and went, it's 125. So what I do is I take the addendum and I put that bitch right on top so they know right on top of the purchase agreement because I have to send them the purchase agreement.
So what about this? Because my preference, I don't like dirty contracts. They always end up marked up somewhere along the line, but my preference would be to, once you have the agreement, just redraft it without the escalation clause,
amazing.
just with the final price.
Yep. That would be great.
Again, if nobody saw last week, I'm in the market for an office manager because I'm 2 days behind on doing that for the contract we're talking about. Oh, no, you're there.
So,
why can't I? Oh, my spatial relations problem. I guess I should look on the stream and see where you are.
I don't know. Normally I can go like that and you're there, but I guess you might be there.
Hold on. I got to hold it for a long time. That's wrong though. Oh, that's wrong. Oh my God. Tom. Tom, you're down there. It's the Brady Bunch.
Okay, so can I do one other thing?
Yes,
because
you've got
to realtors in terms of contract, I'll
minutes.
keep it short.
No, you got 8 minutes.
Okay.
We have tons of time. Talk slow and over-explain.
There are some forms. Okay, so there's a few types of contracts, a few types of mortgages that have their own special forms. Where's Tom at? Listening. Come on, Tom. There you go. I'll take it. Okay, so
Oh, come on,
it's fun
Tom.
to watch you do that.
Come on. You got this. Start like this. Make circles.
I don't know if he can, but I can't hear him. He's on mute. Yes.
Yes. Keep going. You're almost. Yes, you've got it. Yes. Set of professional eyes now. That's
right.
Okay.
For real talk. My other thing for realtors, if any realtors are watching,
forms.
There's a special form for VA.
Is it different from the FHA?
Yeah.
It's the same.
So it's a VA amendatory clause, right?
Ooh, can we talk?
VA amendment to the, I'm sorry, it's a VA amendment to the contract, and I'm going to finish both of these. It's a separate form. You can take a blank copy and send it along with the purchase shit so that the lender doesn't have to go, hey, follow up, chase everybody again for signatures. There's also the FHA amendatory and real estate certification. It's a separate form. You can also take a blank one of these. These separate little things should be in every contract. Yes.
I have 2 things to add to that. One, I have seen so many different versions of those forms. Can you post a link to pretty versions in the comments? And if you're an agent, because some versions that I see for the VA one has language in it that says, because they're written by realtors who don't know what the fuck they're talking about, it says the VA loan has fees that the seller must pay for. What they're referring to is I know, and I've seen it typed in a VA amendatory clause.
It's a lie. That's a lie. The seller's not required to pay for any fucking fee.
Exactly. Lies. So, I have to strike through that line So what I would like from you, Cassandra, is a clean and correct version, because I've seen messy,
Sure.
ugly, made up by realtors who think they're attorneys, which is against the law, by the way, to practice law as an agent. So don't fucking write a legally binding contractual document like that. Have an attorney do it, or get it from the lender.
Yeah,
But,
which
okay,
is
so I have a
fine. The
question.
lenders don't mind, but if you're doing the forms, if you're literally already getting everybody's signature on stuff, just give
Yeah,
the
submit that
addendum.
too.
They're standard. You have to
So-
go chase them every time. Just get them at
So
the
let's-
beginning.
So let's talk about this, because with my FHA offer that I wrote, I did include that form, but I left the purchase
didn't.
price blank. Yes, I did. Just because you didn't get it doesn't mean
No.
I didn't submit
No.
it, because I fucking did.
Listen, I got the form. The purchase price is blank.
So
However,
if you'd
it's
let
just
me-
the FHA amendatory, but you did not send the real estate cert at the same time.
If
So
you
gave
let me, oh my
20%
fucking
of
God.
what
You
was
guys,
needed.
this is what I have to deal with. She's so
And she
fucking
loves it.
perfectionist. I do. So if you
God
let
damn her wanting the forms, right?
No, I know. If you would have let me finish, I was actually going to say, so I did submit the form and I left the purchase amount blank. It gets tough, because I would have thought the other agent would have filled out the right amount
However,
upon having their
so
client sign it. Hold on. Because I didn't realize there were two forms, because I've never had to get a second form. I only
that's
have this
because they're normally
FHA
on one
mandatory
form. Where did you get that form?
inside of one of the multiple places that I can look for one that are provided by the MLS and my brokerage, which is why I'm asking you to please put the links to the correct blank forms, so that not only I, but any agent, at least in Michigan, can fucking have a good copy of their own. Because I would love that.
So, and just so you know, the form literally says, if it doesn't appraise, on the VA form it says, if it doesn't appraise,
Yep.
the veteran's not required to buy the home. Well, no fucking shit. That's for everybody.
It's already in
just
your,
spells it out.
It's already in your contract.
But
unless you have an escalation
rider.
clause. Unless you have an escalation clause in your contract.
You still got to sign the form, even if there's an escalation clause.
But does it invalidate the escalation clause? Or I'm sorry, appraisal guarantee. Let's do this right, because let's say I am representing a vet and we used an appraisal guarantee of $5,000. And we have the VA mandatory clause that says if it doesn't appraise, the vet doesn't have to buy it, which trumps. I don't like using the word Trump anymore. Which one wins?
Your appraisal guarantee wins. The VA form is merely letting everybody know that if it doesn't appraise, the veteran is not legally required to purchase the home. However, they have signed something that said they would pay $2,000 over the appraised value. Then it's
so it
structured like that.
Because it did appraise plus 2,000.
Say it didn't appraise.
They work together.
So it's basically like, yes, they work together. So, but I've had agents say like, well, I'm not signing that because there's an appraisal guarantee. And I go, well, you still have to freaking sign it. Like they still have to sign it because honestly, they're not required. They have chosen to based on the offer, but legally they don't have to. And that's the point of the form. The FHA form is the same, and the real estate certification is this little part of it that the realtors have to sign, which I cannot tell it. I just, you know what, most of the time, I just want the seller's email address. I'll send the damn form to everybody.
Can you give me a clean copy of the one sheeter that does both? FHA mandatory clause and certification. One sheet. I'll make it part of my VA and FHA deals. Like I would rather, because I hate chasing that document too.
I'll send you the VA. I'll send you the FHA. I did reply back with
Isn't there a one
polluted copy with everybody's name on it. The FHA is on one. It's two forms, but it's on one page. And the VA is literally like a freaking paragraph.
So just so you know, on our end, the forms I have access to, like there's a sheet, the bad one that says if this is a VA loan, then the seller has to pay for things, which is a load of shit. But at the top, it says FHA, VA, a mandatory clause and certification. So it's trying to be all three, check all three boxes, FHA, VA, and real estate certification. And you're telling me that that's incorrect.
That's incorrect. So what I would appreciate, and I can't believe on a national level this isn't done because the forms haven't fucking changed in years, is in the contract, there could be an FHA box.
Yes.
where people check FHA and then there's initials next to the amendatory and the real estate cert. And then,
I don't know.
or you could have a VA section.
How is it?
How
How
hard
is it? How is it not inherent with the accepting the finance type? Like, why does there have to be a separate fucking piece of paper? But we're at 11:15. So one of the,
Okay.
I don't know. I think these are really good topics to explore more. And
Not for people who are buying a house. They don't give a rat's ass. Am I right?
but when they're buying a house, they do. And if your real
That's
estate
true. I did have
experience,
somebody say, it's normally I wouldn't want it, but I'm buying a house, and so I find it really interesting.
Yep. That's true. And that's the only, it's like buying a mattress. Like, you don't care that they're on sale until you're shopping for one. You don't care about real estate terms until you're buying or selling a house.
Now
And
you're
these,
gonna get mattress ads.
dude, oh shit, what do I want ads for? Cute t-shirts. I need more cute t-shirt ads. Oh my God. Here, can I show you this? Can you guys see it? Keeping it
Keeping it
rural.
rural.
Mark bought me this at
Rural.
Tractor Supply. Juror.
Roger.
Anyway, all right. Peace out, Girl Scouts. We are 1 minute past our time. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you got some value out of this. Do we have a sign off thing? Like, should we make a move or do a little jig?
Boobies bub.
Don't do it. A big boob. Why did I get that line?
You know where you got it.
I do. All right. Peace out. See you next week. Thank you. Thanks for
Bye,
joining,
Tom.
Tom.
Bye, Rachel.